Right, welcome back to another video on the channel. Now, this is not your usual sort of video. This is a match reaction for the Community Shield game in which Arsenal have just smoked Manchester City 3-0. No one really expected that. I mean, Manchester City got absolutely smoked throughout that game. Arsenal were absolutely brilliant, thoroughly deserved to win the game. They were more dominant on the ball, they controlled the ball better, the passing, the chances they created. The overall performance was way better from Arsenal. I think Manchester City have a lot of work to do, a lot of their signings and a lot of their players just weren't good in the game. I don't think there was one actual player in that Manchester City team that could come off the game with a good performance and hold their head high, because a lot of it was very poor. Whether that's been passing the ball out from the back very sloppily, just simple passes going out of play. There was no chemistry, no cohesion, and that Arsenal team looked very, very good. And I think they're looking like a serious threat now to win that Premier League already. And I know it's only, the season hasn't even started, but the way in which they moved the ball, the depth and quality which they had as well coming off the bench, players like Declan Rice, Gyökeres, Saka, all these players coming off the bench, very, very good squad, and they absolutely dominated the game from minute 1 all the way to minute 90. Yes, City had a few chances in there, but they got absolutely smoked by a very good Arsenal team. Now, in terms of individual players, Elliot Anderson was the first one I have to talk about. £116 million. Is this really what £160 million gets you in this market? He was absolutely horrific today. And yes, it's early. Yes, it's his first game. But wow, what a poor performance he had. I think I was just shocked to see that performance from Anderson. He couldn't get on the ball, couldn't do anything that we've seen for him at England and with Nottingham Forest. He needs to gel with the players, but that performance in the big game, it wasn't even like they had Rice and they had obviously Skelly and Gimenez, but you expect him to have a better performance than that, and that's probably because a lot of it was coming from Rodri. Listen, I like Elliot Anderson. I think he's a very, very good player, someone I think will do well for Manchester City. However, that early performance and that game, what was it, 55 minutes and hooked, stinker and hooked. It was very, very poor from him. Not the Elliot Anderson that we know. We've seen so much better from him. And again, when you go from 160 million, even if it is a early game into the season, there's going to be a lot of pressure on you to deliver, and ultimately he didn't deliver in this game. A player that I thought played well for Arsenal was actually Chris Solis. I think he was absolutely fantastic. Very, very good signing, he looks like. A player that can, the assist that he got. There was obviously a lot of hype coming in from the Belgian league, and he got a lot of goals and assists there. But his performance looked very good. One player that, as well as getting goals and assists, will definitely track back and put the defensive work rate in. But his end product's looking good, and he's looking like an overall very good signing. I know he's impressed in few of those games in pre-season for Arsenal, but he's looking very sharp. He's technically very good on the ball. Very, very good signing. As I said, didn't cost that much money. I think he's going to be that starting winger, and again, he's definitely one of those players to watch out for in the Premier League. I really do think he's an exciting talent. Maybe could have got a goal today. However, his overall performance, he was popping up in some nice areas. I think he's a really, really good player. And you look at the goals in which Arsenal scored. 3 very, very good goals. 3 impressive goals. The first one, very good finish from Calafiori. Great pass from Lewis Skelly, who I'll talk about. The second goal was absolutely brilliant. And then the Odegaard goal, just to see it, was just a moment of magic. Like, what Odegaard can do with the ball. I mean, I have to talk about Martin Odegaard. A player that gets criticised because he doesn't get goals and assists, but definitely a player that's so instrumental to that Arsenal team. His passing ability, his ability to pick up the ball from deep and make those passes, his movement. Overall, he's a very good player. And that goal that he scored absolutely sent Donnarumma and just slotted into the corner. Great touch. Overall, great player. And a lot of people, as I said, criticise him. They say Bruno's better, which I think he is. But his importance to this Arsenal team cannot be sort of questioned. I think he's absolutely vital. There's a reason why he's the captain, pops up in all sorts of areas, and I think he's a really, really good player for Arsenal, to be honest with you. I think he's someone that is going to have a big season for them, and he really is a good player. And again, I just in the whole Arsenal performance, they looked on it from minute 1, had a few good goals, few chances. From a Manchester City perspective, you have to be looking at the likes of Haaland, players that have been there, Semenyo, Doku, these sort of players, especially Phil Foden, that they barely had a chance in the game. The only real chances, I think they had 3 big chances. Semenyo won in the second half, they had the Cherki one in the second half, and then the Erling Haaland one in the first half. Other than that, I cannot remember Manchester City creating an effort that was substantial in the fight. And that's a credit to Arsenal, to be honest with you. They defended very well as a team. As I said, they're looking very, very good at the moment. I think they are the team that's going to win the Premier League. I think they look so sharp. And the goals, the chances they create, and they're looking like a very, very established team. But from Manchester City perspective, they have to do better, to be honest with you. As I said, Anderson was very, very poor. I think Lewis Skelly, as I said, he's someone that's starting over Zubimendi, who cost them £50 million. I think he looks like a very good signing, very good player, for them. Very good on the ball. The pass that he made to Calafiori was fantastic. His overall game, his reading of the game, the simple passing, dropping deep. You can see why he is definitely rated by Mikel Arteta. And he had time out of the team when he wasn't playing, but then he came in towards the back end of last season, and he's been ever present since in pre-season. Now in this big Community Shield game, I think he's going to have a stellar season for them, and I don't know why Arsenal don't find a position for this team. He's been linked with Arsenal and with Man United and Chelsea, but I think he really is an exciting player and someone that I think will only get better with age and the more game time that you get. Another obviously player for them, Bruno Guimaraes, made his first start in a competitive game for Arsenal, and I think he was very, very good. You can see now it takes the burden off Declan Rice immediately. Declan Rice has played a lot of minutes. I think it was 164 matches over the last 3 seasons, which again is a lot of games. Very, very good player is Declan Rice, but he's human. He won't be able to play every single game. I think Guimaraes is a very, very good signing. Only played 45 minutes. However, he looks very, very tidy in that midfield. Very versatile, allows Odegaard to do his thing and just sits deep, breaks up play. I think he's a very, very good signing. But overall, I think Arsenal did a fantastic job. I think Mikel Arteta has a very, very good team. You look at the depth that they have. They still have Saliba to come back. Timber wasn't involved today. Saka was on the bench. Gyökeres was on the bench. Rice, Eze, Max Dalman. They still very well could make more signings. There's obviously players that I've missed, but they're a really, really good team. And Manchester City definitely have to fix up. Maresca ball doesn't look like is cooking for them at the moment. There's not that really sort of chemistry yet building. Obviously, it's very hard, and I do feel bad for Enzo Maresca because it's very difficult to replace a man like Pep Guardiola. Liverpool struggled. I know Slot won the league, but Liverpool struggled to replace Klopp. United back in the days did it with Alex Ferguson. A lot of clubs struggle to do it, and again, it's going to be a difficult task. I'm not saying that he's going to flop, but the way in which City performed was very, very sloppy, and I don't think they will compete for the league. I think they're, as much as I've put them in second, I think for my predictions, I think they look very, very sloppy in this game, and a lot of questions have to be asked about the team because they have very good players. Kovacic is a decent player, Gavardia, Ruben Diaz, but they just didn't look like a team. There wasn't no synergy. They even Donnarumma and Gold didn't have his best game. They just looked nervous. They didn't look confident at all in the game. But Arsenal, fair play, very, very good performance, and they should be very, very confident going into the season because I don't see any team yet putting up those sort of performances. I know it's early on in the season, but they're looking very strong going into the season. Really, really good team. And again, they're probably only going to get better, but I'm scared as a Manchester United fan to see the performances that Arsenal putting in because they've been very, very sharp in this game. But listen, let me know your thoughts in the comments if you have stayed to the end. Man of the match wise, listen, there were a lot of good players. I thought Skelly was brilliant. I think there was a lot of good performances. Jesus Christ, with the voice crack. Man of the match. Man of the match. I'm going to go Martin Odegaard. I think the goal that he scored was ridiculous, but his overall performance, his impact on this team is very, very good, and I think he's going to have a big season. But let me know your thoughts in the comments and in the chat. Thanks for watching. Peace.